Say hi YouTube. This is round 3 of the Colorado Open. I played a very nice young man. Um, he, he. I feel so sad because he was saying that he watched one of my videos. Because this one of the NPCs from IHOP told him about it. Like he witnessed the NPC forcing me to like. He was like he gave me his phone. He's like Sarah, subscribe me to your YouTube channel. It's like, okay. And he like overheard that, so that's how he knew I had a YouTube channel. Um, but he said that he heard me say at one point that I wanted to play chess and this wasn't chess, about a game where I won easily. And he said that he felt bad because he's like, was this chess? Was it? And I was like, yeah, I think it was. I mean, I think there's a lot to learn from it. It I don't know. He seems like he's talented and he's improving quickly. So, all right. Daniel told me that I was asking Daniel about what he played before this game, and he told me that I could play e5 and like win slowly, or I could play a Najdorf and beat him, like crush him. So I decided to play a Najdorf, because that sounded like fun. If I can't beat a 1600 in the Najdorf, then what am I doing? You know. So knight f3, d6. Okay, let's just get to the main position. So he played 6 bishop e2, which is a great move. I played e5. It's also a line I think I know the least. He actually did get a photo with me. His grandpa took a photo of us together, but it wasn't his grandpa didn't know who I was. He just was he forgot to take a picture of us playing, so we took a picture together and I did this. But his grandpa was really cool. He had like a really thick accent. I couldn't tell what it was, but it sounded. I mean, I'm terrible at knowing what accents are. Kind of sounded Russian, but I don't know. Like I'm terrible at that type of thing. It sounded like a chess accent. It sounded like Hans Niemann. Okay. All right. Topical. Okay, so he plays knight b3. Also, apparently, he's taking lessons from my first chess coach that I had. So my first chess coach is gonna see this game. So, okay, I played bishop e7, castle, castle, bishop e3, bishop e6. This is all I really know here. I think I could figure this out. I mean, I don't know, I just looked at this, so I think I was gonna just play chess. But then he played f3, which is, I think, a good move. I think. I'm still undecided. I still don't know. Cause, listen, I only have the quick starter for the Najdorf. Like, a quick starter. And I don't think f3 is in there. And that doesn't mean it's a bad move, it just means it's not common. So I couldn't really go about... For a minute, I was just thinking about playing knight h5 and bishop g5, and it's like, maybe that's what I do here. But I decided against it. I was like, let's not go fucking nuts for no reason. Let's just develop a piece, which I think is the right decision. Because for a second, I was like gonna go crazy because I didn't... f3 looked different, like I had not seen it before, but it's just because I haven't looked at it very much. So I played knight e7, good move, and he played knight d5. And I was just trying to use like general Najdorf rules, which sometimes when I try and use general Najdorf moves or rules, it doesn't work because there's always exceptions to rules in chess. But my thinking here was, if you can take here with a knight, and save the bishop pair, then you should probably do that. And I was looking at the position that arises from this, and I was going to play bishop g5 and trade the dark squared bishops, and I thought I'd be doing very well there. And it's just, I've just equalized, and he's a new player and he's a kid, so his endgame skills are probably not that great. Bishop takes knight is probably also good, maybe even better. And then play like b5, knight b6, maybe, I don't know, something like that. But I just decided to take with the knight because I like bishops, and I played bishop f5, and he played bishop d3, which is maybe a mistake now that I think about it. So what he's doing seems logical if you just think about it in words like... I mean, I understand why he did what he did, okay? He wanted to trade this off, and then in this position, he played f4, which I was not expecting at all. I understand why he did this. Okay. So his thinking is that my d6 pawn is weak. That's not true, but I understand his thinking. I see why it feels like it should be. But if you actually just look at the position, d6 is not weak at all, and my knight is incredibly powerful. So I could tell he really just misevaluated this position. It's like about equal. I think I'm a little better. But here I was not sure if I wanted to play knight e5 right away. I threw in queen g5, which I like, because I feel like I'm putting a little bit more pressure on him this way to make decisions. Because I saw after rook f1 I play knight e5, and now it's kind of hard for him to find a square for his queen. Because if he puts his queen on the e-file, I'm just going to put my rook on e8, and it's just a weird position, and I don't really know how he plays it, and this knight is kind of misplaced, and my knight is great. That's kind of how I evaluated this position. I just liked activating my queen. I don't know if it's good. Maybe I should have just played knight e5 right away, but I liked it. So here, I think queen d2 is an okay move. But he made another, like, serious, he just didn't understand the position. He was just counting on d6 being weak. Just because this pawn is isolated, that does not make it weak. If you have no way to attack the isolated pawn, it's not weak. And something, you want to do when your opponent has an isolated pawn is trade pieces, because then it's harder to defend. So it's logical what he did. It is logical if you think about it. But I feel like because he's not an experienced player, it's easy to not understand this. So he plays queen f5, and I was ecstatic to trade queens. I mean, trading queens here is my dream. So I take the queen, and white doesn't really have a way to attack this pawn. And this knight is just so well placed, even if this pawn is technically weak, it doesn't matter, because this knight is so great. Also, his c-pawn can be kind of awkward sometimes, because I have this half-open file for my rook. So, this is, I would say this is just better for black. That's how I would evaluate this position. I think black is actually almost is probably +1 here at least. That's what I think. Because I play knight c4, and already you can see how good this fucking knight is. This b-pawn is very difficult to defend. I'm threatening to win an exchange, and here I was assuming he was going to play this move, because if I play knight b2 here, my knight is trapped. So I can't do that. I have to play like b5 or something, or rook ac8. Maybe rook ac8 is what I should do, because it's doing two things at once. And it's difficult to defend all of his pawns, because I feel like his pieces are superficially active. Like, they're on squares that are like, they look like they're doing something, but they're not. My pieces, however, are doing amazing. They're well coordinated, and I would say that his d-pawn is a lot weaker than my d-pawn, actually. So that's why I evaluate this position so highly for black. Because also it's just hard to play for white. It's just hard to find a move here. I mean, I do think that this is definitely what he should do. But if he has to play rook b1, then okay, he's just undeveloping a piece. And now I'm gonna, I don't know, now I can play rook f to e8. Now I actually have this option. And if he goes back, I play rook e7, and so that's not helping. So now I don't have to use this. Now I can actually move this rook. And now my pieces are becoming active very rapidly. and his knight doesn't have a good square. So my d-pawn is actually supporting two different outposts. Well, it's not an outpost right now, but it's actually creating an outpost for my knight, but his pawn is not. So I think the d-pawn is actually a worse pawn. His d-pawn is worse than mine. I think it's overextended, and I think his knight is misplaced. I think this is just better for black. And he thought for like 10 minutes here, and this is the sad part. He thought for a long time, and he did that thing where you think a lot, and you get all in your head, and you just blunder. So he played knight d4 here, which is just hanging in exchange. It just hangs in exchange. But his thinking did make sense. Like, I give him credit for everything, because it is logical. I mean, this is a new player. Like, he's gaining rating points very quickly. So his point was that if I take on b2, he plays rook b1, and he's activating his rook, which is a fantastic idea. I like this idea a lot. If I do this, I think white is... Now it's equal. Maybe even white's on the better side of equality. But... So it made sense, but he just needs to do tactics. He just needs to do tactics. I mean, it's... So he felt sad, and I actually felt really bad too, because... But I still think this is a game he can learn a lot from. And then I'll just play the moves. So he tries to at least attack this pawn and like get his knight going and get some sort of compensation. But unfortunately, now that this is defended, I can just play g6 and kick the knight back, and now this is sort of hopeless. And I was just slowly sort of making progress here, and I bring the king up. And in this position, I thought for like 10 minutes. And I didn't want the game to go on forever for no reason. And I was like, okay, now he's kind of threatening to move his knight, because this isn't check anymore. So I decided to just take this. And this endgame is winning for me. So technically this was an endgame too. And then he resigned in this position. But, no, I mean, I can tell that he is definitely playing moves based on they're based on rules of chess. It's just the Najdorf is not... Sometimes the rules of chess aren't helpful, because it breaks a lot of rules. It feels like, at least. That's how it feels. But, yeah, if he's watching, I would suggest to play a less sharp and nuanced opening starting out. Like, I wouldn't play into the Najdorf. You could play... as a new player against d6, you could play this move. This is a good move. I think this is called like the Moscow. It's not a Rossolimo's common mistake, even though it's like they transpose into each other sometimes. But no, you could play like a Moscow or something. And those positions are easier to play. But I just feel like, unless you're over 2,000, the Najdorf is maybe not for you. I mean, it's not even really for me. I feel like I can't play it. I mean, I'm trying to switch to e5, so... But anyway, it was... I could tell that his moves were not just random. I could tell that they were based on good logic, so... I think he will improve very quickly. Anyway. That was the last game of that day.